Welcome back. You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shannon Register, and every week we bring you news and information you can use on your next real estate transaction. If you're a buyer purchasing a new home, we've got some great information for you today. And also, if you're a small business owner, we have great information for you today, so stick around. Got a lot of things coming up, but before we begin, I want to remind you that you can always call in your real estate questions to 281-882-8088, and we'll be happy to answer your real estate questions right here on the air every week between 11 and noon. That number again, 281-882-8088. And if you miss any of today's show, we do record it on video, so you can always go to HoustonRealEstateRadio.com and catch the video, because we've got some great stuff coming for you today. Mike Sullivan is here. He's the tax assessor collector. He is going to be here talking about several things. Earlier in the year he was on and we talked about your homeowners' taxes, your property taxes. And we're going to be talking about a few other things today because their office actually does several things. Mike Sullivan believes strongly in community involvement, very involved. He is part of the board of the Hospital Corporation of America, the director of the Lake Houston Area Chamber of Commerce, Kingwood Musical Arts Society Advisory Board, and a member of the Lone Star College Chancellor's Advisory Council. He's also a member of several other chambers of commerce, very involved in our community, knows what's going on. His office does a lot of work. Also, I've got Elizabeth Doss here. She's going to be talking to us as well. She's the director of property tax out of Mike Sullivan's office. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here, Shannon. Thank you. Great show. And after we do your show, we always hear compliments from people that listen to you on the radio. So thanks for the opportunity.
Appreciate that. So tell me, what does your office do? I know you guys are busy. Y'all have a lot going on over there.
It's a year-round business. We have three basic business functions. We collect property taxes, and we also do automobile registration, title transfers, and lastly, we do voter registration. So everyone who moves in Houston, either within Harris County or moves to Harris County for the first time, can use all of our services. We need to make sure that they register to vote. We do have two elections coming up, one in May uniform election date, and also a big election in November that will be for City of Houston, mayor, city council, and controller. And since the mayor's term limited, there'll be a lot of activity and a lot of interest in that race.
Yes.
And then when you buy property, you want to make sure, and you and your clients will make sure you have property tax exemptions, homestead exemptions, et cetera. And then automobiles. Everybody wants a Texas license plate.
Yes. Well, it's interesting because you have to have purchased by January 1st to get that homestead exemption, right?
That's correct. In the state of Texas, homestead exemptions, you have to live and own your home on January 1 of that tax year to get your homestead exemption. So if you just bought your home in the last month, starting January 1, we want you to be sure to, if you didn't get the homestead exemption form from your realtor or your title company, to go online at the Harris County Appraisal District's website, at our website, at www.hctax.net. We have links for those homestead exemption forms, just to make sure you get that form filled out, attach a copy of your driver's license, and get it sent over to the Harris County Appraisal District.
Okay.
If you get that form filled out now and get it over to them before their April 30th, that's when they can guarantee that all the taxing jurisdictions in Harris County will have that information for the tax bills that go in the mail in the fall.
Okay, and if you're over a certain age, you have different exemptions,
right?
Yes.
There's a lot of different types of homestead exemptions. There's over 65. There's the disabled veterans. There's several of those. So if you want to take a look at our website or give our office a call. Surviving spouses. There's so many to name. I mean, really the big one for just anybody who lives and owns their home is the homestead exemption. Yeah. Harris County has passed a 20% homestead exemption. So it's real money, so it's important if you don't have your homestead exemption that you fill out the forms, get it in the works. If you don't make that April 30th deadline, you can do it at any time within the year. It's just the later in the year, you will have to pay higher tax bill, and then the exemption comes in and then we send you a refund is basically how that works. But since there's so many people moving into Texas, especially in this Northwest area, obviously, we want just those folks to understand that the homestead exemption form is really important, and it's very simple to just get filled out.
Yeah, it is very important. And I know when we close, the title company tells them about it, the realtor tells them about it. But there's so much going on when you move.
Yeah, well, you get that massive packet, and you're like, oh, thanks, and you put it in a drawer, right?
Yeah, so I have to remind them to go back and do that. All right, let's talk a little bit about property renditions, because I know that's coming up. That's due. When is that due? April 15th?
April 15th. So in the state of Texas, business owners have to render their business personal property is basically what it's called.
Is it all businesses, whether it's an LLC, a corporation?
All businesses. And just basic sort of understanding, especially for realtors. If you're an independent realtor, you have your small company. Anything that you use to produce a business, profit, your computers, your desks, your furniture, your fixtures, all of that goes on something called a rendition form that you then send to the appraisal district. Generally, if you were a business last year, they send you a form. You probably got one in the mail recently, and you have to make sure you get it filled out and turned in before the April 15th due date. If you're a new business for this year, you just can go onto their website and download the form and fill it out. Just to make sure that what's important that we really like to talk about is if you don't fill out your form and turn it in on time or don't fill it out at all, it is a rendition penalty. So the appraisal district will assess something and give us a tax account, and then whatever that tax bill is has a 10% increase. So,
and I can imagine they don't assess low.
No, because they're guessing, what you have in your company. They probably take light companies, but it's real important, for business owners to make sure they get that form filled out. The Harris County Appraisal District has lots and lots of information about it, because it's not an easy thing to try to determine what market value of your computer is. They have guides. They are going to have workshops later in March, early April, when it gets closer to the deadline.
That's good.
So what we like to do in our office is just really explain to people the ramifications, the increase in your tax burden if you don't fill out your rendition penalty.
And a lot of the accountants out there do it for you if you've got an accounting firm that works with your business, which is good. And, I just send it over to my accountant, and they fill it out for me year to year. But, if you own a small business, sometimes you don't have an accountant doing that for you. Mm-hmm. So tell me more about these workshops. How can people, if they're thinking, I don't know how to do this, I need to take a workshop, how can they find out that schedule or when those are going to be offered?
The appraisal district is going to be having it on their website soon, and it's www.hcad.org. Okay. And that's where they have, you can look for business personal property information on there, and they have the booklets and all the forms, and they'll have, those workshops there, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks as we get closer to the March timeframe. Mm-hmm. And I know they're having several during the day and the evening, because it is difficult for a lot of people, and we do a lot of workshops. Or you can give them a call at the appraisal district is 713-957-7800.
Okay. So we're talking about the property tax rendition forms, which is your personal property in your business, like computers. If your vehicle's owned by the company, that would be included. Anything that, what about inventory as well?
Oh, yes. For the larger companies, it's a lot of, it's inventory. It's anything you use in your manufacturing. It gets very more complex the larger your company and other things you use. But
All right, very good. Lots of information. And the deadline again is?
April 15th.
April 15th. All right. Lots of things to talk about here. Mike, did you get to talk yet? Are we?
Well, when she said April 15th, there's another deadline, April 15th, that affects all of us, and that's 1040s are due, the IRS deadline. So a lot going on that day. Okay,
and I know we want to talk about the Texas One Sticker Program. I know that's something that people want to hear about as well, having to do with their vehicles and not only registering their vehicles, but getting inspections on their vehicles. So we'll talk about that next segment, so you'll have a lot of time to go into detail on that, because that's very important. For buyers that are moving here to the Houston area, there's a lot to do. You've got your homestead exemption to apply for. You've got your all of the things that you have to do to switch over your vehicle to the state of Texas, your license plate, your driver's license, all of those things, in addition to going to get your toll road tag and that kind of stuff, right? So, and all the other things you have to do when you purchase a home. So we'll come back next segment and we'll talk about this new program, which is the Texas One Sticker Program, that makes it a lot easier to get your car transferred over. All right, we'll be right back here on Houston Real Estate Radio right after a word from our sponsors.